This isn't just Fort Santiago, it's a living, breathing history book etched in stone. To most folks, it's a picturesque ruin, a postcard-perfect backdrop in the heart of bustling Manila. You stroll through, snap some photos, maybe buy a souvenir, but don't let the daytime charm fool you. Because after the sun dips below the horizon and the guards clang those heavy gates shut, there's a chilling reason why they don't linger. This isn't just ancient architecture. It's a place where 600 prisoners once drowned in its suffocating dungeons, where a national hero walked out to face a firing squad, forever changing the course of a nation. And tonight, we're stepping inside, beyond the tourist trails, to uncover why, even centuries later, the footsteps here just never seem to stop. All right, picture this. You're absolutely alone. The last guard's footsteps have faded, and the only sounds are the distant hum of the city and the whisper of the wind through ancient walls. You're deep in a stone corridor, the air thick with the scent of damp moss and old rust, a heavy metallic tang that clings to your clothes. Then you hear it, a faint dragging sound, like something heavy being pulled across rough stone. Chains, maybe? It's getting closer, echoing, scraping. You tell yourself it's just the wind, playing tricks on your ears in the dark, but the wind doesn't usually whisper, does it? The wind doesn't typically sigh out a desperate plea. Tulungan mo ako, help me. That spine-tingling recording, we captured it just 2 weeks ago on nothing more than a $20 voice recorder. Welcome, my friends, to Fort Santiago, arguably the most paranormally active plot of land in the entire Philippines. This isn't just a fort. It's a monument to human cruelty. Spanish masons laid the very first stone back in 1590, envisioning an impregnable fortress. What they built, however, was something far more sinister, a torture box, a crucible of suffering that would endure for centuries. For 300 brutal years, these stoic walls bore silent witness to unimaginable horrors. They saw rebels flogged until their backs were raw, priests garroted for daring to speak out, and women drowned in the murky moat, condemned for nothing more than simple heresy. When the Americans took over, hoping to bring a new era, they merely kept the cells busy, repurposing the instruments of oppression. But it was during the Japanese occupation in 1942 that Fort Santiago plunged into its darkest chapter. The same ancient chambers were transformed into a drowning pit, a watery grave for countless souls. Prisoners were crammed in, shoulder-deep in black, stagnant water, sometimes for days. No light, no sanitation, no room even to sit or rest. They simply stood, slowly succumbing to exhaustion, disease, and despair. By the time General MacArthur finally returned and rescuers could access the fort, they found a grim testament to this atrocity. 600 dead in just one single room. Their bones, tragically, were so soft from the prolonged immersion that they crumbled to dust at the slightest touch. That single horrifying statistic, 600 lives extinguished in one night, in one room, it explains everything. It explains why every janitor who works here has a second job, often a much-needed coping mechanism, convincing wide-eyed tourists that the chilling screams they sometimes hear are just birds. They know better. We know better. Among the countless anonymous souls who suffered within these walls, one stands out, his story echoing loudest: Jose Rizal. He wasn't just another prisoner. He was the brilliant writer, the intellectual, the visionary, who, with his pen, ignited the flames of a revolution that would eventually birth a nation. For 40 agonizing days, they held him in cell number 45, a cramped, suffocating space barely longer than a pool table. Can you imagine the thoughts, the final words, the resolve that must have filled that tiny room? Then, on a fateful dawn, December 30th, 1896, Rizal took his last walk. He stepped out of that cell, crossed the silent plaza, climbed the gentle hill, and faced a firing squad. He took a bullet for a country that hadn't even declared its independence yet, a country he loved more than life itself. It's a story etched into the very soul of the Philippines. And here's where the legend truly begins. Tour guides, their voices hushed, will tell you that the faint echo of those final boots still follows the exact 253 steps from his cell to the execution site. Security guards, working the lonely night shift, swear the cadence matches Rizal's height, 5'2", so precisely that you could set your watch to it. One particularly brave docent, a woman named Maria, decided to put the legend to the test. She set up her recording equipment and waited. For 11 minutes straight, her recorder picked up the distinct sound of boots on cobblestone, a steady, measured pace. No visible feet, just the unmistakable thud-thud-thud of someone walking. And the time? Exactly 5:02 a.m. The precise moment those gates opened for Rizal's final procession all those years ago. Coincidence? Or a hero's eternal march? The night at Fort Santiago is a parade of the past, a spectral reenactment of its blood-soaked history. The Spanish sentries are often the first to appear, usually around 2 a.m., like clockwork. Witnesses describe them with startling clarity. Wide-brimmed helmets, meticulously waxed mustaches, and rifles with bayonets that seem impossibly long, longer than a man's arm. They march with a chilling precision along the parapet, vanish inexplicably at the lighthouse, then, just 10 minutes later, rematerialize as if on a broken film loop, resuming their eternal patrol. Then come the Japanese soldiers, a stark reminder of a more recent, equally brutal past. A maintenance man, Mr. Alingod, who was diligently cleaning the powder magazine back in 2018, claims a uniformed officer suddenly barked an order at him in rapid Nihongo. Before he could even react, the soldier simply stepped backward into the solid stone wall and vanished. Mr. Alingod quit the very next day. His resignation letter, short and to the point, simply read, "I do not get paid enough for time travel." But perhaps the most heartbreaking and common apparitions are the civilians, the countless innocents who perished here. Their faces are often pressed against barred windows, mouths open in silent, agonizing screams, forever trapped in their final moments of terror. Tourists, often oblivious, snap photos in these areas, seeing nothing at the moment. But when they check their cameras back home, they sometimes find strange anomalies, inexplicable orbs of light, often shaped eerily like open palms, hovering precisely where prisoners would have raised shackled hands in desperate plea or futile resistance. It's a visual echo of their suffering, a ghostly imprint on the modern world. This isn't just about old tales. The paranormal activity here is ongoing, documented, and absolutely chilling. Almost every Friday night, dedicated paranormal teams descend upon Fort Santiago, armed with the latest tech. They bring REM pods, those fascinating gadgets that detect energy fluctuations, and SLS cameras, which can map out stick figures of unseen entities. But sometimes, the cheapest gadget in their kit proves to be the most effective, an old, rusted jail ring still locked shut, placed strategically to attract attention.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, once, 12, 3, splash.
Why 13? Because that's the exact number of steps that descend into the infamous water pit below. A pair of intrepid Canadian vloggers, known for their ghost hunting exploits, decided to live stream their visit from Rizal's cell. 30,000 viewers watched in stunned silence as their fully charged camera battery plummeted from 100% to 0 the instant they opened the cell door. The stream froze, pixelated, on a single word scratched into the ancient stone wall, luz, Spanish for light. It was the last word of Rizal's final poignant poem. Coincidence? Perhaps. But the exact same battery drain and frozen frame on luz happened to 3 separate crews last month alone. This isn't just folklore. These are modern encounters, baffling even the most seasoned investigators. I had to experience it myself, so last night, armed with little more than my phone and a healthy dose of skepticism, I ventured into the fort with Lolo Boy, an 84-year-old local historian. Lolo Boy's connection to this place runs deep. His own grandfather, he told me, helped bury the dungeon dead. We stood in the central chamber where the water once rose to a man's shoulders. The water's long gone, replaced by a cold concrete floor, but the metallic coppery smell of iron, and something else, something ancient and sorrowful, still lingers, thick in the air.
Anong gusto ninyo?
The silence that followed was heavy, expectant. Then a faint hiss, like a subtle, unseen rope tightening around us. My recorder, which I'd quietly activated, picked up a single resonant word. Respeto. Respect. As the word faded, I felt it. A sudden drastic temperature drop, at least 6 degrees, chilling me to the bone. My phone, which had been at 60% battery, died instantly, plummeting to 8% in a mere 4 seconds. Lolo Boy, however, just nodded, a quiet satisfaction on his face. "They just wanted to be spoken to like people," he murmured, his voice soft. We left without saying goodbye. It's an old tradition here, a local superstition. Once you say farewell, something might just walk out with you, and after that night I wasn't about to risk it. So if you've ever walked through Fort Santiago after dark, if you've ever heard those inexplicable footsteps on an empty path, or felt a sudden chill that had nothing to do with the weather, we want to hear from you. Drop the details below in the comments. Your stories, your experiences, they're not just anecdotes, they're the pieces of a larger puzzle. The next episode, the next journey into the unknown, truly depends on what you share. And if you're hungry for more nights like this, more deep dives into history with the lights off, then do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Because trust me, when it comes to the untold stories of this world, we're only just getting started. Fort Santiago isn't merely crumbling stone and faded plaques. It's a profound, unhealed wound on the landscape of history, a place where the past refuses to be relegated to textbooks. Whether you believe the chilling recordings are genuine ghosts, the lingering spirits of the tormented, or simply echoes bouncing off 400-year-old walls, the effect is undeniably the same. The past here isn't just remembered, it's alive. It refuses to stay past. So the next time you find yourself wandering through the ancient hallowed grounds of Intramuros after dark, and you feel that unexpected tug on your sleeve, that brush against your arm, don't run, don't panic. Instead, stand still, close your eyes for a moment, and just listen. That tug, that whisper, that chill, it might not be a threat. It just might be history itself, reaching out, asking you quite profoundly to remember.